Well, when they converted the old cemetery, the old burial ground, into a city park, they made a number of decisions, and one was that they weren't able to move all of the bodies, and people could pay to have their relatives moved, but otherwise the bodies were left here. And so today historians estimate that there may be as many as 10,000 bodies buried here. Now, they also discovered some really unusual things when they were excavating, and also even in recent times when people have been running sewer lines or doing other things underground in the area. They've come across some interesting things. They have found mass graves. I know that they found one mass grave that had 11 bodies in the same grave site. That may be because of the cholera and typhus epidemics of the 1840s. At that time, people were dying very quickly, so they didn't have time to do full burials of everybody. They also believe that those diseases, at the time they believed that those diseases were airborne and that they would still be contagious, so they wanted to get the bodies underground very quickly, and that may be the reason for some of the mass graves that were found. They also found empty coffins and empty graves, and that is likely indicative of the grave robbings that used to happen in Kingston. Grave robbing was a pretty popular industry in Kingston in the late 1800s, and particularly because medical students had to provide their own cadavers to use in their classes. They weren't provided for them. There weren't too many legal ways they could get bodies, and so most of them turned to either going and getting bodies themselves or paying grave robbers to do it for them, and we believe that that was the fate for many of the bodies here in Skeleton Park.
I live in the area. My father grew up here in the 50s. They used to ride their bike around here and looking for bones. I know it sounds terrible now, but to kids, skeletons and macabre things are fun. I think they used to play ball with some of the skulls they found, and other people took the bones and decorated on their bicycles.
Well, my friend and I here, we go to university in this area, and we rented a place beside Skeleton Park. And we didn't realize the place was haunted until we moved in, and then we started seeing some really weird things going on. You know, when we'd get home from school, doors would be open.
Lights would be turned on. It was just all this kind of unexplainable events that were going on. It was just really weird, but we didn't think anything too much of it.
I had a dream one night, and in this dream, I walked into my kitchen, getting myself a cup of coffee, and I got my cup ready and my cream, and there was a man standing there, and he was angry. I don't know exactly what he was saying. He had a very thick accent, but it sounded like, "Get out of the house." And, you know, I tried to get away from him, but he grabbed me and choked me. He started choking me to the ground. And then all of a sudden I woke up, and I heard coughing from the other room. So I went into the room.
And it turns out I was having the exact same dream. I was in the kitchen, and the same man with the same thick accent had come and tried to choke me. He was telling me to get out of the house. The dream was so real. It felt like I couldn't escape. It was almost like I was going to die in my dream. He wanted to kill me in my sleep. Well, later we actually found out that our house had been built on an old graveyard. So that explains all the spirits and all the freaky things that we've been experiencing. I mean, this is where they're resting, and we're invading their space. So it makes perfect sense. It's just scary.
When we come back, the paranormal team make contact with the dead.
That's definitely a stone right there.
Somebody's been digging it up.
That's definitely a stone. No question.
It should be digging up the stones.
Yeah,
it's wrong.
Look, it's got the name on it. N-O.
Oh, it is too. Yeah.
N-O.
There you go.
What, himself?
I just keep hearing soldier, soldier, soldier. Private.
It looks like a Nolan or something. P. Nolan.
Private Nolan.
Private Nolan.
Mm-hmm. He's my soldier. He's the guy that's been showing himself to me. Because he's got the gun. There's a gun coming off the back area.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a gun. It's something sticking up the back. There's something wrong with the back of his head. I think he was, he's got blood all over the back of his head.
I'm getting right here, the back, his back, right there.
Okay, maybe that
Blood?
Yeah, blood, yeah. He died very tragically.
This one morning, I was really rushed to get to school, and I was downstairs just getting a few things organized. And as I was going upstairs to get my backpack, I stopped on the bottom stair and looked up, and there were these two people standing there, two figures. And they looked really sick and very sad. I just stared and turned around and bolted out of the house because I was so frightened. I didn't know what to do, so I had to go and wait outside the house for a while.
One late night, I was trying to get to my friend's house, and I had never been there before, but they told me that the landmark to look for their house was the park, because they lived just near to the park. So I couldn't find the park, but I did find a graveyard, and this is what I thought they meant as in the park, the graveyard. So I went to the graveyard, and there was this feeling, this uncomfortable, unsettling feeling that it just made me feel, well, not welcome. And I felt like there was maybe someone behind me or something. But the next morning, I came back the same way to come home, and I went through the park, but there was no tombstones. There was no graveyard. It's bizarre.
We are trying to communicate with the spirit John, the spirit who has been giving me signs all day and all evening. We ask for this particular spirit to come through and communicate with us. He's sad. He's very sad over the destruction and over the multiple souls that he feels have been lost. He's saying you have no idea. I don't know what he means by that. Anybody else picking up what he means by that?
The horror of what went on here. They were just digging holes and dumping them all together.
Something's touching the top of my head. I don't know who's behind me. It's like it's playing with the back of my hair. That's how strong it is. I can feel it. And it's not the wind. Because it's not it's in a pattern. 27. I don't know what that means, the number 27.
McBurney Park is a beautiful place to spend an afternoon when you're in Kingston, Ontario. But at night, the restless souls of the dead, who were buried so unceremoniously and then forgotten, can be seen roaming the grounds, unable to rest in peace.